right, welcome back, plotters. What, Callie? What?
I was just almost said, oh, Marky Poo. Sorry, go ahead. Do that again.
Marky Poo is behind the scenes right now.
Marky Poo.
So we have Callie Ott back. We've had her before. I'm so bad with this. I have to go backwards. I'm pointing to you, Callie. Oh, where? Oh, no. There. Callie.
Wait.
So, okay. So we've had Callie on the show before. Callie started out as a brilliant actress, and she maneuvered her way into doing really awesome one-woman shows. Not just one-woman shows, but ones where she sang, which is awesome. Final Girls was the most recent one, and Dear Jeff, which won a whole bunch of like awesome like acknowledgments, and secret things are happening right now, which that's all I will say. So she is back. One of the things that I really enjoy talking about with my guests is their journey, because we can all learn something from where you came from. So Callie, let's just go into your acting first to start out with. When did you know you wanted to be an actor?
Oh my gosh. I think when my parents were getting divorced, and I was like, I need attention, so I would do whatever I could to get them to love me. Yeah. So as a kid, for sure.
I get that. That's me too. Like, let me do this thing so I am loved. Oh boy, yeah. I feel like a lot of artists can like.
Which, when acting stems from that, you got to do a lot of work to get past needing the validation, because it can be rough out here in these streets.
Is that interesting that like you do it for validation, and then you have to work beyond the validation to get to the thing, and then you're like, hold on, why am I doing this again, right?
Yeah, it's a journey. I'm glad that we're talking about journey, because that feels like just a huge like inner journey that I've like recently been on these past few years, especially when COVID happened. We had a lot of time during the pandemic to really reevaluate our lives and think about the purpose that we have in the world, or like the intention that we want to bring to the world. And so really getting uncomfortable with ourselves and asking ourselves, why are we doing this? And just truly being like, am I happy? Like, is this something that is fulfilling to me, or am I doing it for external validation? And how do I get back to the like childlike joy that I felt when I first started doing it? But then as you become an adult, you're like, wait, I want the awards. I want the recognition. I want to be successful. So really working through that and recognizing that like, oh, it's not necessarily all about that. It's about, the purpose and the voice that you have and what you want to share with the world.
That's awesome. I want to segue into your writing, but like I'm curious about this. This is true for writers too. Definitely me. I had a burnout last year where I was like, I'm not successful enough. Right. I feel like a lot of writers watching this, a lot of plotters feel that way. Do you have like any like tips for people who feel that way that like worked for you?
Oh man. It's just getting back to your why, getting back to why am I doing this? And the mark that I want to leave in the world, and also like, how can I like feed my soul when I'm doing like, because then what's the point? Like, if we're not having fun and enjoying this, then like, why are we even doing it? If that makes any sense. I don't know.
It does, because like I've gotten many awards, and so have you, but that's just like a quick drug rush, right? And for me, I can't speak for you, but for me, I start feeling like it's almost like caffeine or a sugar rush, where then I feel really low afterward, right? It leads to me feeling like a depression. Instead of what you're talking about with wholeness, right? You're talking about wholeness where you're doing it for your soul. You're doing it to feed yourself instead of the future.
Yeah, and I know we've talked a lot about like, in the past, like intrinsic rewards, and like how can we give ourselves a more of an intrinsic reward. And what does that look? It can look different for every single person. But like when I had performed my show this past weekend, I was kind of stepping into the unknown where I was like, I'm doing it in a place I've never been. They're not really going to have tech. Like, I'm going to be playing the cues from my laptop. I'm not going to have any lighting cues. I'll be lucky if I have stage lights at all. This is for like a horror convention. People might not like my show. People might actually hate it. I don't know what I'm stepping into. And I set one thing for myself. I was like, okay, I can't control any of these things. I can just control like how I tell the story and how much fun I have telling it. And my goal is to just move one person, like just have it relate to one person. And I know that, you know, that might not feel intrinsic, but it felt like that to me. I was like, great, if I can just touch one person, then it's worth it. And like literally that happened. And then I was like, wow, this feels even way better than like winning an award for the show. To just see the look on that person's face being like, thank you for sharing this story. It helped me. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, cool. This is what it's all about. So that just like redirected me again of like, this is why we do it.
Key point for me, this was really smart, is putting something in your control. What is in your control and what is not in your control, and focusing on what is, which is that one person that you said that you were focused on.
Yeah.
So healthy discomfort is a thing for you, which is amazing. When I'm coaching people, I talk about healthy discomfort all the time. It's the most important thing to have internal success, intrinsic success, and also the outside, the external success. Callie, going from acting to, it was a producer that's like, hey, will you write a show, right? Was that what happened?
Yeah.
Yes. So let's talk about that discomfort and what made you decide to do that crazy leap.
Well, I had this story. So this is all based on Dear Jeff, a musical comedy about suicide and abuse. I had this like real experience that happened to me, and I had been living with a lot of shame, and I wanted to, you know, share it with people because I can't remember exactly who, but I had just been talking to a lot of women, and they were like, oh, I've been in like an abusive situation before too, or like I've been affected by, you know, people that I love that have killed themselves. And so I was like, I really want to share this story. Like, it just felt like something that I didn't necessarily want to do, but like I needed to do it. Like I could just feel it in my body. I was like, I have
your
to
soul,
like,
right?
Yeah, in my soul. I was like, I have to like get this out into the world, because if I don't, then like I'm gonna combust. Like I'm gonna be like one of those Muppets that just explodes. So yeah, I had kind of like been talking. I had pitched to one of my friends, and I told him like, oh, you know, I have this idea for this story. I don't really know how I'm gonna do it, but like it's a story I want to tell. And then he was kind of like, oh, like that sounds really interesting. And then cut to like a few months later, he was like, oh, you know, I want to produce some shows for the Fringe Festival. Would you want to do this as like a one-person show? And I was like, yeah, I just said yes. I was like, sure. And I hadn't written anything. I think I had maybe written like a song. And then once I said yes, I was like, okay, what did I just do? This is not fun. But then, yeah, it really pushed me out of my comfort zone. I was like, okay, I've never written a one-person show. I've never really written anything besides like sketches. So how am I gonna bend these muscles, work these muscles that I've never really used before? And yeah, and then like just did it. I just wrote it, and I feel like when you write something, there's this moment where you finish it, or you finish like a draft, and you're like, I don't know what anybody's gonna think about this.
Oh, terrifying.
Yeah, you're like, is this bad? Is this good? Is this like gonna resonate with anybody? Like, it's absolutely terrifying.
It's the most terrifying thing ever. It's one of my worst qualities is right at the end, I try to self-sabotage. I'm like, oh, I don't actually want to release this. This is for me. And then I get called out on my BS, and they're like, no, you're just scared because you don't know what's going to happen. And I'm like, yeah, I guess that's it. Yeah.
And I don't know why I'm kind of obsessed with like doing scary. Like, I love horror. I like being scared. I like I like
No, this is circle this moment, plotter. Circle this moment, right? She is experiencing fear. She's like that dude who climbs, well, the one dude, because there's so many.
Oh,
Like
I
that
know what
guy
you're talking
who,
about.
you know, like the guy with the no ropes or anything, and he's climbing and
Yeah.
he's like, oh,
Free
I'm doing
solo.
this
Free solo. It's
free solo guy.
I watched that and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and he's doing it for the fear. He has the same hormones going through his system that we do, yet he is interpreting it differently, right? He's getting a joy out of doing it. So instead of trying to like resist the fear, just tweak the story on the fear. And Callie, for you, it's exciting, right? Like
Yeah. Oh,
you're living off of that, right?
I eat it up and I don't know what's wrong with me, but
No, it's good, Callie. It's good.
but
It's
I
so
love it.
good.
Because I think that, yeah, talking about just like, I know I keep referring back to the growth, but like that is my main goal, is to just like keep growing and evolving as a human being
Mhm.
and as an artist. And so like if we're, you know, not being brave and putting ourselves out there and telling our stories, then like we're not evolving in a sense, and we're just playing safe. And where's the fun in that? Like it's actually fun. Like even in improv shows, right? I've like we talked about the improv shows last time, and like
For the people who haven't seen the other episode, you totally should. Callie says some brilliant things, but Callie also talks about how she was in musical comedy
yeah,
improv where she has to sing, make up music on the spot. So that's what Callie's
yeah.
talking about right now.
So I've had so many bad shows where I'm just like, oh my gosh, what am I even doing? But like the like the failing makes me feel motivated to like keep going. I'm like, no, I have the like drive to, okay, that didn't work. Why didn't that work? And like, how can I feel better next time? Like, what can I do differently? What can I learn to do? And so I think, yeah, like, I don't know if other writers feel this way, but, or even actors, artists of any kind, but like the failing of it all, it just motivates me to keep trying, like keep trying something. Okay, that didn't work. What else can I do?
What about you're saying something really brilliant, because most of the things that we do when we try is going to be failure. So like fear, you have morphed failure into something that you appreciate. So what is it about failure that really is a gift to you?
Hmm. Um, it's knowing that even when I fail, like that sucked, but like I'm still alive. Nothing really truly bad happened to me. Like I'm just proving to myself that I can overcome when I fail. So it's just evidence. It's like, oh, I didn't like crawl in a hole and never leave my house again. It's like, no, like I was brave enough to try again and put myself out there again. And I truly feel like that is the best feeling in the world, when you don't let the failure keep you down. You use it as momentum, you use it as fuel.
Oh, so good, so good. And what you're talking about, the failure, is people's ultimate fear oftentimes, right? So it's
Yeah.
directly connected to what you were saying with fear. And if you're approaching the thing that people are most scared of, which is looking like a loser, looking like a hack, looking like a failure, right? And you still feel whole, you still feel alive, you still feel healthy, right? Then what is it, right? Like you're showing intrinsically who you actually are, which is not failure,
Oh my
right?
gosh, so true, so true.
So good, Callie. That was so freaking good. So what have you were talking about muscles earlier, growing muscles and stuff. So like what muscles do you now have from writing that you did not have when you were just acting?
Who? I mean, just a better like thinking about character. Like obviously acting's all about character. But
Yeah.
when I started writing, it and it probably should be the opposite way, but like when I started writing, I really was diving deeper into characters. I'm like, oh, if I'm writing a character and they do this thing, what else do they do? Then what else is true? And that's kind of like with improv too. It's like, okay, how can you really hone in on the point of view of your character that you're creating? Like if they believe this, then what else do they believe? And it might be something like super obscure, but that just gives you more of a pathway into like their psyche and what they believe and where they come from. So I get really excited. I feel like, yeah, that muscle has really grown ever since I started writing and even doing improv. Yeah, I'm trying to think what else. Yeah, that's the main thing, I feel like.
I love that. Writers also look at books on writing a lot. I have a lot of them up here, right? But one of the things we can learn from the most, you going from acting, right? Like you could look up a whole bunch of books on acting, right? But you actually learned more from not focusing on acting, right? About acting by going into writing, right?
Yeah. For me, I'm such a like doer when I learn the most when I just do something. And I know some people are different. It's like some people are visual learners or oral. I think that's the right word. Oral?
Oral?
I don't know. It's like audio. Like I don't know. And
Is
maybe
it
I'm
ORAL?
I don't know.
I think it's A. Are you talking? Is it a word AURAL?
I think it is. But I could be completely wrong. So Mark will just have to double check that. But I'm such a doer. Like I learned by doing, and I think that like one of my biggest challenges with writing, right, with acting, you get up, you perform a scene, so you're like experiencing it in real time. With writing, it's like you write something, and then you're like, okay, but now I have to have other people read the words that I just wrote. Like, does this make sense? Does this like organically sound good? And so yeah, for me, like that's the biggest struggle with writing is like, oh, I'm kind of like stuck in my room where I don't know how people are going to receive this. And so I can't, like, it's not until I like get up and that's why I like doing the solo shows, because it's like, great, this is how I practice my writing, or like writing sketches. I'm like, I can perform in these sketches. I can like have a friend, act with me. And it's like, how does this writing feel? How does it sound? Like the collaboration. I truly, I think that like with writing, it's, yeah, you really have to like put your work out there and have other people read it out loud to kind of help guide you and to getting better at it.
Callie, what are we allowed to talk about? Like the stuff coming up. Like what do you have coming up?
Oh, yeah. So I have the first solo show that we were talking about, Dear Jeff. I'm working with a production team, and we're really going to try and hopefully make it come to life and do like a filmed version of it so that more people can see it. So yeah, right now we're kind of figuring out, okay, it's a live show, but we want to record it, but it's like we don't want to just like film the stage version. So how can we get creative with it? So that's kind of what we're discovering right now, and I am so excited. So that's what I'm working on right now.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Callie's making amazing things happen. Well, Callie, thank you for being on a second episode of Plotting Success. I have one more question for you. Yeah. So if you could go back to Callie, who was doing acting and storytelling for love, what would you say to her from where you are at now?
Oh man, to just keep trusting the process. Like we really trick our brains and constantly think about the future, and everything's in the present moment. Like it truly is. And if anybody's guilty of, because like plotting success, like we want to be successful. That is why we are on this podcast right now.
Yeah.
But just allowing it to happen, like trusting that it will come. Like if I just keep putting in the work and I do it from a place of love and I do it from the depths of my soul, then like nothing can take that away from me. Like, that's what I have that in my heart. And also, like, I would tell, you know, my younger self, like, it's okay to be seen. Like, and not everybody's going to love you. Not everybody's going to like your work. And that's okay. It's not going to resonate with everybody. And you don't want it to, because I think that work sometimes should be polar. It should like make you question. It should make you hate
polarizing.
stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, it should be polarizing. Because then that means that you have like a really strong voice or opinion about something. And so, yeah, just telling my younger self, like, be okay with being seen and love what you do. And be present.
Thank you, Callie. Yeah. So where can we find you?
You can find me on Instagram. I'm a geriatric millennial. Wait, I don't know if I'm geriatric. I just heard that term the other day. Yeah, find me on Instagram at Callie Ott. So CALLIEEOTT. Callie Ott.
And we'll make sure to include her handle in the description box below. Yeah. So as you see, we have some awesome guests on the show. If you want to see our future awesome Plotting Success guests, make sure you don't miss out. Please tap subscribe and like so that YouTube knows that you're liking these channels. We'll include links for Callie in the description box below. And if you are looking for some tips and tricks so that you don't have writer's block, make sure to click in the description box where it says that you will get content that will help you with that. I don't know what I'm going to call it. This is in the future, you all. This is not in the now. Scandalous. No. So scandalous. Callie, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Whee!